men were angels, government would not be necessary, but men are not angels, so we got to create some sort of government.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys like this. Guys, today we're going to be reacting to Charlie Kirk gives liberal students an education. Let's go right on to this.
Yes, but you said you have an issue with the government not representing the will of the people. So if you personally have an issue with that, then why do you support him if that is not the will of the people?
Right, so will and majority are two different things, right? So are we a democracy? You're not here. Are we a democracy?
Should we be?
No, but are we?
Why should we not be? Is that not a core fundamental point of
So she doesn't know the meaning of
American
democracy.
society?
You get
No. Has democracy appeared anywhere in the Constitution?
I mean, that is genuinely a valid point. However, your point of the government should represent the people, why is it that democracy is not in the Constitution? Or why is it that you believe that the will of the majority is not as important as the will of the minority if your issue specifically is the government should represent the people better?
Good question. So we believe in the Electoral College. Why? Because Kansas deserves a voice. Because Missouri deserves a voice. And it's the most important way I could distill it is the union we have is the states created it, the federal government didn't create it. So the kind of price of admission is every state gets 2 senators, congressmen based on population, and then electoral votes based on that population. So you kind of get a mix of both. And it's also this tension. And I would ask the question, if we abolished the Electoral College, do you think that the needs, wants, and interests of Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, North, South Dakota, Montana would be taken as seriously as New York and California? That would be my question to you.
Do you believe that some citizens are more valuable than others? Because in our current system, some people's votes hold more sway than others, because people in like Wyoming who have smaller populations have more say than places like here in Missouri and Kansas. Why is this acceptable if it's, again, your issue is the will of the people?
Because we're not a democracy. So a democracy is simple majoritarianism. So let me give you an example. In a democracy, by up or down vote, you could say, I want to enslave black people. A constitutional republic says, no, you're going to have to go through a process to do that. So let me ask you a question. Do you think the majority of the will of the people could ever be wrong?
Yes.
Okay. So the Founding Fathers knew it could almost assuredly be wrong, right? So the system of a republic versus a democracy is it has to be slow and arduous and intentional because it has a preference on liberty, right, not on free stuff. And so over a period of time, how do you best protect liberty? Well, you got to spread over all the representation over space and time, right? So you do it over a lot of states, a lot of square miles, a lot of acreage, and it takes a lot of time to take over the federal government, right? You have to win an election, and then an election, and an election. It's not impossible. We eradicated slavery. We gave women the right to vote. So it's possible to get change done. But the Founding Fathers were less concerned about getting progress done really quickly, and they were more concerned with the government doing bad stuff too quickly. Does that make sense?
But that is not what you said. You said that your specific problem is the government does not do the will of the people. Why is it that your will and what you want is more important than that of the majority?
Well, it's not my will. It's the framers and the system we have. But to answer your question, I believe the best way to determine the will of the people is through states' rights and states' directives. If Kansas wants to say, hey, we can have decentralized gun laws or school choice, God bless Kansas. And so the question is not, is national will also versus state will, right? So we have to recognize that the values of someone in Kansas, in Manhattan, Kansas, is a lot different than the values of someone in Manhattan, New York. It's a lot different. And so through a democracy, it'd say, hey, the people of New York City want to have firearms confiscated. I don't think that dog's going to hunt in Manhattan, Kansas. Well, Kansas State University, so I don't know. But it allows, answer your question, it allows people that disagree with one another to live in the same nation. You see, a Republican-style government, small r, allows people that might agree on almost nothing to still engage in self-government while still having a national project to participate in. So to clarify it even more, it is a question of the consent to the governed. If it was just a democracy, it would be an up or down vote on every single person, and that's it. The Founding Fathers saw that fail time and time again. Athenian democracy, people just vote themselves stuff. So they said, we have to have some sort of system that realizes that if men were angels, government would not be necessary, but men are not angels, so we got to create some sort of government. Federalist 51, as Madison said. So we got to figure this out. So government is necessary, but we don't want to have too big a government, and people are just going to vote themselves stuff all the time. So how do we do that? Well, local is better than national. But you got to have some sort of a national influence, and so they created the great balance between Jeffersonian and Hamiltonian type philosophy, as we know, as the U.S. Constitution. And the one thing they all agreed on, though, is human nature. They knew that absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that people were likely to abuse it. So I would just kind of counter by saying the will of the people can be best expressed through a multi-state project. For example, I believe an election is much healthier and much more representative by requiring candidates to go to Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and not just spending time on the coast. Because you know why? It might seem as if, oh, we don't need those flyover states. We don't need them. First of all, that's arrogant, prideful, and wrong. How exactly are you going to feed your family, and where do you think the breadbasket of the world comes from? The founders saw ahead, and final thing I'll say is this, is that it was Hamilton or it was Madison that said, we cannot have the tyranny of the cities over the farmers. And that's built into our system. Thank you for being here tonight. I got to get to the next question. Thank you.
Guys, so this was really, really detailed. So I feel like a lot of us got everything from this, but what the little thing I'm going to add will be that to determine the will of the people, I would say, for example, an election, which is best, because I would always repeat this in all my videos, that whenever I'm speaking, I speak more from my country's perspective, because I feel like it's something I could, align with. It's something I have an idea on. And I'm going to say that election is best. Let's take, for example, you want to vote in the government, because one thing I've noticed is that if people are allowed to vote themselves in, oh, believe me, the whole world will vote themselves in. Because why? Human nature is selfish. People are selfish. People are unreasonable. You can't imagine to what extent human nature could get you to. But if we're going to do this to know the will of the people, an election is fair. Why am I saying this? You see, when, let's say, for example, like I was saying before, you maybe want to vote in a government. You can't allow people to vote in themselves, can you? No, that's not fair to the masses. It's not. So you want to vote in a government, yeah? There are so many candidates you have from different parties, different political parties that want to govern you. Now, you will listen to their manifestos, you listen to their ideologies. What are they bringing in? What do they have to offer to the people once they're in government? Now, you listen to all these things. Maybe Party A will be like, I'm going to give you guys constant light 247. I'm going to make sure there are so many youths that would like I'll get rid of unemployment. I'll give the youth job. And maybe Party B would be like, there will be so many food. You wouldn't have to go through economic crisis because we're going to resolve that, and so many things. So people bring in their manifestos, their ideologies, they display it to you guys, and it's left for you to vote in who you think would actually do what they have said to you guys, who you actually trust, whose idea you want to go with. Okay, I want to go with Party A. Why do I want to go with Party A? Because I'll finally get a job as a youth. I'll finally be employed. I'll finally have like a way to survive, a way to feed my family, a way to plan my life. But the other people, maybe another person be like, now I want to go with Party B because he's going to get rid of unemployment. Sorry, he's going to get rid of what's it called? Economic crisis. If the economy is better, I know that I would be able to resolve a lot of issues. I'll be able to pay a lot of bills. Getting rid of economic crisis, I mean, you as a working class person, you know that the economy is going to be stable for you, and it's going to be a good thing because the price of foodstuff is going to decrease, and you'll be able to afford a lot of things. You'll be able to pay school fees and so many other things. Now, getting back right on track, I feel like the best way to know the will of the people is to have an election. Now, these people would have, they're allowed to vote in who they want. So we go with the majority. The majority wins the votes. You go, you cast your votes. Now, this is you putting out your idea, you putting out your opinion into the ballot boxes. I feel like this is a perfect example to know the will of the people. You cannot allow people vote, because looking at the government, you cannot allow people vote in themselves, because people voting themselves into power is just showing you that they may not do half of the things, they may not do even quarter of the things they've said. They may just focus, because look at our present day government. A lot of them are just, it's more like they're not even there for the people, they are there for themselves and that of their family. So if you look at some countries, you say the government, it's not reflecting on the masses. Do you get me? So I feel like this is my own little addition to whatever we just watched. But guys, the more you think about this, if you have something else to add to this, please put it out in the comment section for all of us to see. Don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel. I love you guys.